So as you probably already know by watching this video, Nintendo has officially announced that the Switch successor could be announced at some point this year or next year. Basically within the next financial fiscal year. So what we got here was an announcement for an announcement, which I just find hilarious. But today I'm going to go over what I could possibly think the new Nintendo console could be. If it's going to be like a continuation of the Switch concept, or if it's going to be a completely new thing. But for starters, let's get this straight. I'm not going to call this the Switch 2 or the Switch Pro. Those names have not been confirmed by Nintendo, and we don't even know what this console is going to be, since those are all just rumors. For now, I'm just going to call it the new Nintendo console. Mainly because... Okay. The main reason I say that is because I don't believe rumors or leaks, especially the leaks, no matter how credible the leakers claim to be. So for all we know, this could be either a brand new console or a dedicated home console or a new handheld. But that's extremely unlikely. It's more or less probably just going to be another Switch, just more powerful. I mean, it has to be more powerful. The Switch was already considered to be underpowered by the time it came out back in 2017. And that was 7 years ago. The internals on the Switch are bordering on 10 years old now. So yeah, we're in desperate need of an upgrade. I wouldn't say a PS5 or Xbox Series level of an upgrade, but probably on the level of a PS4 Pro or Xbox One X. And who knows, maybe Nintendo can surprise us with a more powerful console. And maybe they can go back to how it was in the 6th generation, where Nintendo actually was on par with the Sony and Microsoft consoles of the era. I don't know why with the Wii decided to be so underpowered. I assumed because it was more cheaper just to upgrade the GameCube and brand it as a brand new console. Not only that, but it would make backwards compatibility much easier. Which, by the way, is a huge just like a huge rumored feature of the new Nintendo console that's going to be backwards compatible with Switch games. Which in that case, it probably won't be that much more powerful than the Switch, considering that it has to be close enough to the original architecture that it has to be able to play old Switch games. I mean, that's a similar reason why the PS5 is the way it is. I mean, it's definitely more powerful than the PS4, but probably not by a whole lot. The main difference is that games load off of an SSD now rather than a hard drive, so games load faster. But other than that, games look pretty much the same as they did on PS4 and Xbox One on PS5 and Xbox Series. And that's probably because games are still being made for those old consoles, because as we all know, the PS5 and Xbox Series X were super hard to get in the beginning of their lifespan. It wasn't until like 2021 where each of the 2022 where each of the consoles became easier to get. That's when I got my PS5. But anyway, back to the Switch. So yeah, if it's gonna be backwards compatible with the old Switch, it's likely telling that the new Switch won't be that much more powerful than it. I would say it's gonna reach native 1080p at all times, maybe 1440p. It's gonna go up to 1440p at all times, and in handheld mode, it's gonna go up to 1080p. Since currently handheld mode games can only run in 720p, and an upgrade from 1080 from 720p to 1080p would be pretty cool for a portable console, considering that we've never had that before. I mean, it's a much bigger step from what the Wii U gamepad could do, and that was only 480p. So to go from like 480p to 720p to 1080p, pretty cool leap in resolution, I would say. To have like a native 1080p device as a handheld and a gaming device, well, considering that most phones and tablets are native or 1080p natively, I don't know what's taking Nintendo so long to reach that. And maybe they should just upgrade the Switch OLED in terms of design. I should just take the Switch OLED, maybe make it slightly bigger with a higher resolution screen. Like for example, as I just said, we should make it a 1080p screen and keep the OLED functionality, or get better LCDs, and make sure the battery life is improved too. I know the original Switch had a upgrade with the battery life in the middle of its lifespan, and like a minor upgrade, but the the next Switch should have like a much better battery life than the current Switch, even with the upgrades, especially with an OLED screen. But that might drive up the price too much, so we'll see about that one. As for the release window though, I'm going to go on a limb here and try to be the most realistic and say that the Switch is probably going to release at late 2025 at the least, and mid 2026 at the absolute latest. But the most realistic time would probably be early 2020, 2026. No, yeah, early 2026 is probably the most realistic release date. Considering that they said they can announce the release date, like, no, they can announce the console at any point within the next fiscal year. So basically up until like April 2025, I think is what the tweet says. So we got the rest of this year and early next year for the next console to be announced. And so that's my guess for the release date. Although again, Nintendo could surprise us by releasing it either earlier or even later than we think. Hopefully not later, as I don't think we should wait till 2027 for the Switch for the next Nintendo console to release. As having a 10-year long lifespan for a Nintendo console is pretty unheard of. At least for a lifespan that's actively supported. I'm pretty sure near the beginning of the new Nintendo console's release, we're probably going to get the shutdown of the online services for the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo eShop, considering that's what they did for the Wii U and 3DS quite recently. Although, to be fair, that wasn't right after the Nintendo Switch release. It still lasted for 7 years afterwards. So, well, considering how popular the Switch was, they probably won't shut it down immediately. I think they only shut down the Wii U and 3DS because A, the 3DS is 13 years old, and B, the Wii U was a total flop for them. So it would just be a waste of time to keep them up. Despite what angry fans like to say, like, come on, people. I understand, like, you have nostalgia and memories and all this stuff, but come on, dude. The 3DS is 13 years old. Like, who has a 3DS nowadays? Except, like, people, like, maybe except, like, hardcore Nintendo fans at this point, or people with nostalgia. And the Wii U flopped hard, as I just said, so, like... But it wasn't worth it for Nintendo financially to keep these servers up for a dwindling user base for consoles that are over 10 years old now. So I understand you may have liked those games, but come on, dude, it's time to move on. I mean, and plus you still have like unofficial servers, but that's completely off topic. Back to the Switch 2. Back to the new Nintendo console. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's probably going to happen when it releases. But as for launch titles, I believe that it's probably going to launch with the next 3D Mario game, considering that it's been 7 years since Mario Odyssey released, and so we're about due for another new 3D Mario game, and who knows how big that game's going to be. It's either that or Mario Kart 9. Like, we haven't gotten a brand new Mario Kart game in almost 10 years now. In fact, actually, I think it has been 10 years now. Like, when did Mario Kart 8 release? I think in May 2014. And I'm recording this on May 7th. So it may have already been over 10 years since Mario Kart 8 initially released. So yeah, we're well overdue for a new Mario Kart game. And this might be a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to say that there's a possibility for Smash 6 to launch along with this new Nintendo console. I mean, we haven't gotten many updates of what the next Smash game is going to be after Ultimate, and it's been like 2 years since the last DLC fighter for Ultimate is released, and that for most people has been like the conclusion for Smash Ultimate, even though technically it's been supported for like a couple years afterwards. But that's a bit of a stretch there. I'm pretty sure Smash 6 is not coming out for the next Nintendo console as a launch game. Maybe a launch window game, or maybe like a year or two afterwards, but not as a launch game. But who knows, as I've been saying this whole time, like, Nintendo could surprise us. For all we know, Smash 6 could be in the works as we speak, as I'm speaking right now. But, yeah, those are all my guesses for the next Nintendo console. As for the design, I think it's just going to be a bigger Switch OLED with better Joy-Cons. Ones that preferably don't drift as much, like the current ones. And maybe a Joy-Con with actual D-pads, since that's a huge complaint that a lot of people seem to have. Not me personally, since I rarely ever use the D-pad in games. In fact, I ever only use it in menus. So yeah, that's a huge complaint here with Joy-Cons on Switch. But other than that, I can't really see anything else that could possibly be different if they're going to continue with the Switch concept. Now, if they don't continue with the Switch concept, then that's a whole other thing. Maybe they can make another, like another dedicated home console or a dedicated handheld. Like I said earlier, maybe they could revive the DS brand, even though I think it's highly unlikely. I'm pretty sure that ended with the 3DS. With the new Nintendo 2DS, actually. But maybe they could release another Nintendo DS. Maybe the Nintendo 4DS, where it still has the 3D screen from the 3DS, but like maybe at a higher resolution, if that's even possible in current day tech. Maybe it could be with how like things like with how VR has gone, but that's probably not likely due to how expensive it would be to integrate that. Considering how expensive VR on its own is, I mean, have you seen the PSVR 2's price? That thing's is more expensive than the PS5 itself, and that's just a VR headset that requires the console to use it. So I doubt the next Nintendo handheld, if it is one, can have a 3D screen like the 3DS. Who knows if they'll even return to the dual screen aspect in general. They might just do another they might do a Steam Deck type concept for the next Nintendo handheld, where it's like a handheld PC. Although I think that's a bit out of Nintendo's playing field. Nintendo usually doesn't do that type of stuff. And the Steam Deck is pretty powerful on its own. It's even more powerful than the Switch. It runs Switch games better than it. Which is why Nintendo cracked down on Yuzu. But I think if Nintendo were to go for another home console, like strictly home console thing, it has to be better than like the Wii U, obviously. But it also has to run better than the current Switch does. Since all the Switch is a tablet. If they make another dedicated home console, we can get like a bigger box, I guess, that can like process things more, and that could lead for better graphics, like 4K, maybe even 4K 60 in a way, like how the PS5 and Xbox Series is doing. That's if Nintendo decides to go that route. They could just do another like maybe 1080p console or 1440p console. But I would honestly compromise on resolution if it meant like games are able to run and load faster. I am not that big of a graphics nut like a lot of the hardcore gaming crowd is. So I honestly don't really care that much about performance or resolution. I just like having a better resolution because it looks nicer and because it's like mainstream currently. Like if 4K wasn't as mainstream as it is now, I probably wouldn't be using it right now. But yeah, it would be nice if the next Nintendo console could go for that, or a lower resolution if it means better performance. Like sure, I like 60 FPS, but it's not always necessary. It's just nice to see 60 FPS or even 120 FPS, but I doubt Nintendo's going to go that far at all. So these are my ideas for what the next Nintendo console could be. I'm not saying it should be this, but I'm just speculating at this point, like what everyone else is doing. Like these have been all of my points and everything, and I don't know. I'm just hoping it's good. Even if it isn't that good, I'll probably still get it because it's a new Nintendo console. Like it's new. We haven't had a new Nintendo console in 7 years. So it would be nice to be able to experience that again, even if it isn't all that good. I'm just happy that we're getting a new console because it has been a while, and I'm just hoping to relive that experience again, as I just said. Man, I've been repeating myself a lot this video. Anyway, yeah, these are my thoughts, and comment below, and yada yada yada. Goodbye.